It's advantageous to be conscientious and multilingual. Now, if I didn't make any sense to you just there, it's because I didn't use the word stress rules that I'm going to teach you in this lesson. So let's master this so that you can use thousands of English words with clarity and confidence. And by the way, this is what I actually said. In this word, one of the syllables has to be stressed. Do you know which one it is? If you do know which syllable it is, do you know why? The suffix rule. A suffix is that little chunk of a word that can be added to many different words, and it changes the meaning of the word. Shun is an example of a suffix because you can add it to the end of many, many different words. Detention, affection, relation, determination. If you think of the suffix, it's kind of like it can't have the stress, it really wants the stress. It's like a magnet, so it's going to pull the stress as close as it possibly can to it. So right here is a list of the most common suffixes that affect English stress. I highly recommend getting to know these suffixes. The more familiar you are with these suffixes, the more words you'll be able to master. And it's important to consider that when you change the suffix in a word, it actually changes the stress accordingly. So in the word available, changing to availability, that ity is an additional suffix, so that does change where the stress is going to go. Wants to be a magnet, so it pulls the stress closer to it. Availability. In a word like economy, if we change the ending to ick, the stress moves. Economic. If you have a word educate and you put shun on the end, tion, the stress moves. Education. For technology, if you add the suffix ical, technological, it changes the stress. And lastly, history, to ical, historical. Identify the suffix in the word. Then identify which of the syllables is going to be stressed accordingly. Say it out loud. And don't worry, I'll give you the answer after. The suffix is ity. It's pronounced a-d, a-d. That's right, syllable 1. Clarity. The suffix is ity. The stress is in syllable 2. Tenacity. The suffix is ity. The stress is in syllable 4. Respectability. Now think of one of your own words that ends in ity and write it down. This suffix is the sion. It's pronounced shn. Reduce the vowel as much as possible. The stress is in the second syllable. This suffix is the sion. The stress is in the third syllable. Intermission. This suffix is the tion. The stress is in the third syllable. Conversation. The stress is in the fifth syllable. Re-examination. Think of one of your own words with this suffix and write it down. Age suffix. This is pronounced j rather than age. It's reduced, so the vowel isn't fully pronounced. The stress is in the second syllable. Encourage. The stress is in the first syllable. Marriage. The stress is in the second syllable. Advantage. Think of your own word that has age at the end and write it down. ICAL is a suffix pronounced a-cull. Both of those vowels are actually reduced to a schwa, and they're fast. a cull. Practice that quickly. The stress is in the first syllable. Magical. The stress is in the fourth syllable. Stereotypical. Notice how quickly the other syllables are pronounced. The stress is in the third syllable. Economical. Think of one of your own words that ends in ICAL and write it down. The IC suffix, ik. Pronounce what you would expect, a really quick ik. The stress is in the third syllable. Geographic. The stress is in the second syllable. Electric. The stress is in the second syllable. Terrific. Now write down one of your own words that ends in IC. ANT and ENT as a suffix. This is pronounced nt. Imagine the E or A is just dropped and we're really reducing it. There are some instances where we can reduce the T if there's a consonant coming after, but for now, let's just pronounce nt here. The stress is in the second syllable, important. The stress is in the third syllable, incandescent. The stress is in the third syllable, correspondent. Write down your own word that ends in ANT or ENT. ANCE or ENCE as a suffix. Nts. So again, reduce that vowel. Just think of an N and an S. Nts. Sounds like a pretty good beat. Nts. Stress is in the third syllable. Independence. Stress is in the second syllable. Acquaintance. Stress is in the second syllable. Abundance. Think of one of your own words that ends in ANCE or ENCE. So this is your practice break. If any little part of this has been useful to you and you've learned even a tiny little bit of information, please just press the like button. Let me know that it was useful to you. And of course, if you want more information like this and you want to be notified, subscribe below and join this little family of English learning. I'd love to have you. And if you do that, thank you. Let's get back to learning though. TED as a suffix can be pronounced as tid, think about just the TD, or if there's a vowel or R in front of it, DID or DD together, did. Stress is in the second syllable, submitted, did. Stress is in the third syllable, unexpected. Stress is in the second syllable, elected. Think of one of your own words that ends in TED. ENCY or ANCY as a suffix. Think of NS and a little E at the end, and C. The stress is in the third syllable, inefficiency. The stress is in the second syllable, consistency. The stress is in the first syllable, urgency. EOUS and IOUS, it's pronounced eous. Stress is in the second syllable, harmonious. Stress is in the third syllable, conscientious. Stress is in the third syllable, advantageous. Think of one of your own words with this suffix and write it down. IAL and UAL as a suffix can be pronounced eel and ool. Stress is in the third syllable, consequential. Stress is in the third syllable, intellectual. Stress is in the third syllable, multilingual. Think of one of your own words with this suffix and write it down. IAN, pronounced yun, yun. Stress is in the third syllable, vegetarian. Stress is in the fourth syllable, mathematician. Stress is in the second syllable, amphibian. Think of one of your own words and write it down. Gruffy and gruffer. Stress is in the second syllable, biographer. Stress is in the second syllable, photographer. Stress is in the second syllable, geography. Think of one of your own words and write it down. Logy, L-O-G-Y, pronounced la, logy. Stress is in the fourth syllable, microbiology. Stress is in the second syllable, psychology. Stress is in the second syllable, theology. Think of your own word that ends in this suffix and write it down. L-O-G-I-S-T. This can be pronounced with two reduced vowels, logist, logist. Stress is in the second syllable, psychologist. Stress in the third syllable, radiologist. Stress in the third syllable, anthropologist. Write down one of your own words with this suffix. E-T-R-Y and E-T-E-R. Either a tree or udder. Notice it's a D pronunciation, udder, udder. Stress in the second syllable, thermometer. Stress in the second syllable, interpreter. Stress in the third syllable, trigonometry. Think of your own word with this suffix and write it down. I-S-H, ish. Stress in the second syllable, distinguish. Stress in the second syllable, establish. Stress in the second syllable, replenish. Think of your own word and write it down. I-B-L-E is pronounced with a schwa, a bowl, a bowl. Both pronounced really quickly. Stress in the second syllable, incredible. Incredible. Stress in the fourth syllable, incomprehensible. Stress in the third syllable, insusceptible. Think of one of your own words and write it down. Mint. Instead of a fully pronounced vowel, meant, just a really quick mt, mt, mt. Stress in the second syllable, engagement. Stress in the second syllable, commitment. Stress in the third syllable, entertainment. Think of your own word that ends in this suffix, mint. IFY, pronounced as fi. Stress in the second syllable, identify. Stress in the second syllable, electrify. Stress in the first syllable, justify. Think of your own word with the suffix -fi. Now, of course, it's English, so it wouldn't be English without some exceptions. Let's take a look at some important ones to know. Write these down, make sure you have them. Presidency. The stress is on the pre. Constituency. The stress is on the second syllable, consti. And lastly, there are some tricky little suffixes that actually do not affect stress. So these are some suffixes you're going to want to make note of. Words that end with al or ally, like person and personal and personally. The stress never changed. Words that end in ness and less. Aware versus awareness. Or meaning versus meaningless. Words that end in ful, full, ish, ish, hood as in hood, brother, brotherhood, or neighbor, neighborhood. The stress didn't change. You'll also notice ship, relation, relationship, and able. You'll have stress in demonstrable for the second syllable, but pleasurable is in the first syllable. And once you know this rule, you can literally learn the correct stress of thousands and thousands of English words. And if you're looking for more information just like this, click the link below in the description. There are a lot of links there. You can choose to go and look at a book or audiobook, or even video coaching or one-on-one coaching. Those options are all available to you to learn further and to get the skills you're looking for. If you happen to want to have a downloadable free resource that goes along with this video, then you can also find that link there in the description below. So you might be thinking, well, what's next? What is the next thing I need to master? Well, if you go to this video right here, you're going to see the next most important stress rule in English. I'll see you right there.